The United States of America and the unstoppable growth of shootings in schools, supermarkets, and streets. An alarming situation that we will analyze deeply and in detail in the search of the core of this stormy scheme that pursues every citizen every day. Today in Boom, I'll tell you everything next. United States, the greatest power in the world. Much we could add to open doors about this great nation. Possesses the greatest economic strength in the world, the vastest military power, as well as the greatest technological advances. It is a country that offers a prominent general welfare since on average it has the best performance in relation to income, employment, education, and environmental quality, providing a high gratification of life to its citizens. The United States is a country where laws are enforced. Its laws emphasize individual rights and freedom, where in addition there is a civic protection. When it comes to the public realm, there is a strong sense of community and a moderate level of civic engagement in the United States. For many, this country represents the American dream, a thought that guides culture and society, which guarantee the opportunity to prosper and succeed. The American dream is tied to high standards of democracy, civil rights, and freedom of speech. The United States, for millions of people, is the best country in the world. But did you know that there are irrefutable events more important? Events that highlight it and place it as the number one unbeatable country in an unattainable way among the other countries in the world.
Hasta ahora el reporte oficial indica que 9 personas fueron alcanzadas por las balas.
We begin this morning with the mass shooting at an outlet mall outside of Dallas.
Let's get 3. Let's go. 3,
Mass shootings defined by the Congressional Research Service are those violent acts in which an armed person kills more than 4 victims, either wounded or killed, not including the death of the executioner. Mass shootings are usually grouped as the same type of incidents, but can be classified into the following: public shooting, incidents in bar or restaurants, family annihilation from vehicles, and workplaces. Mass killings with a firearm is a subset of the mass shooting count. The United States leads the world in mass shooting statistics. While the United States has 5% of the world's population, the country involves 31% of mass shootings. According to the Mother Jones magazine, these charts represent the rates of mass shooting in the United States since 1980. According to the Gun Violence Archive from June 2023, there are already 269 cases of deaths from mass shooting. From 2014 to 2022, there has been a total of 4,036 incidents reported and verified. In the United States, people have a high probability of dying in mass shootings if they are at work, at school, or at the grocery store. The curious thing is that in other countries, such incidents typically occur near military installations. In the case of mass school shootings, alarming statistics catch our attention. According to Gun Violence Archive, a non-profit organization that keeps gun violence count in the United States, tells that approximately 321 students who brought a firearm in their backpack or bag were discovered and arrested without any fatalities so far in 2023. Many of these young people threw the weapons inside the school, others in the schoolyard, others were recorded as well and in the exit area. This tells us that practically every day a gun enters the school in the United States. Another interesting fact is that approximately 200 students carry in the backpack or bag a firearm without being intentional. The most worrying thing is that within these statistics, many cases were children of 3 years old, 8 years old, and adolescents of 18 years old. Among these statistics are the suicide of a teacher and a gun that was left by a superintendent in the school bathroom for 10 minutes and was found by a children, as well as hunting weapons left in vehicles by mistake. The following information was found interesting was provided by K-12 database, which means the school grade better known as high school, where they collect evidence of all school shootings since 1970. It should be noted that unlike other data, that this information excludes shootings between gangs, domestic violence, shooting in sport games, after school events, suicides, fights that end in shootings and accidents. The following data was provided by K-12, and it shows the number of victims that were fatal or wounded on school property from 1970 to 2022. In the following database, we can appreciate the situation that drove students into a mass shooting event, being the escalation of dispute, the number one of all. In the following database, we can see where shooting occurred, being the parking lot the number one. The following database was provided by the Australian and Canada government, and it is an international comparison of murders caused by firearms with respect to total homicides. As we can see, the United States is again the number one on the list. Now let's analyze what are the causes for these circumstances to take place in a first world country such as the United States. The first cause is the US has the highest gun ownership per capita in the world, with 120.5 firearms per 100 people. The second cause is mental illness and its treatment. Many of the US mass shooters reportedly suffered from mental illness, but according to the statistic, mental illness has not increased as rapidly as shooting. The third cause is the desire to seek revenge for a long history of bullying. Apparently, after being a victim of bullying for years and at school do not take actions in relation to the circumstances, the only way that apparently the student have is to proceed to take revenge using these methods of mass shooting. Another cause is the desire for fame and notoriety, the desire to be remembered or for being a murderer. The sixth cause is an imitation phenomenon known as copycat, which is used to designate the social phenomenon that occurs when one or many imitators imitate the way of acting of a model of which they have knowledge. In many cases, some act, usually morbid, dramatic, or of a great impact that appears in the media and therefore is favored by advertising. They think this is so cool. Another cause, and it's one of the most important ones, is the government failure to conduct background checks due to incomplete database and or staff shortage. Cause number 8 is a widespread gap that exists between the expectations that people have for themselves and their actual achievements in the modern consumer society and the individualist culture promoted by it. The food. Many people think that guilt is merely of the food. A study published in January 2020 in the journal Medical Hypothesis suggests that eating added sugars can promote inflammation, worsen mood, and lead to symptoms of depression. Irritability and aggression are other bad behaviors that can trigger sugar and gluten. The lack of values and family unity has generated, beyond the disintegration of the family nucleus, the deterioration in society, and that is reflected in the rate of delinquency, the school dropout, divorce, and other social factors of today. I want to know your opinion. I want to know what you think about the causes, and if there is another cause for the mass shootings. Please leave me your comments and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Not only in schools there are mass shootings, but in many public spaces where this phenomenon has occurred. In Walmart supermarkets there have also been these unfortunate events where a worker or a citizen enters to kill innocent people without any remorse. Citizens are afraid to send their children to school, afraid to go shopping, or simply attend a public event for fear of being victim of a mass shooting and being part of a statistic. How can we solve these terrible epidemics that plague us every day? Opportune controls for the acquisition of weapons under a strict regime in which the buyer is subject to a practical examination and a psychological examination annually. GPS trackers for weapons where the weapon bearer is notified that the weapon has left the security zone. Adapt plans in schools from an early age, educating children from an early age so they can accept their peers regardless of whatever they have any different, that they grow together as friends and companions. Better quality of food in schools. Extracurricular activities for students' recreation. Worker assistance plans. Work plans to reduce stress. Salary increase. Implement social benefits for workers. Activities that strengthen the labor nucleus and family unification. Families affected by mass shootings will never be able to fully recover, as the circumstances in which their loved ones were taken from them were heartbreaking, inhuman, and bloodthirsty. We will have the courage to stand up and shout no more, or will we vaguely be left with the absurd hope that it will not be our turn? And now I turn to you. Yes, you, who may be thinking at this moment in committing a madness. I ask you to close your eyes for a moment and think that life has for you beautiful paths to travel, and that the hatred you feel at this moment will pass. I invite you to live, to be happy. I invite you to feel what the future holds for you. Boom B says goodbye.